Hi, you're listening to This Is Not Your Practice Life. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friends. I'm a certified life and emotional intelligence coach. And if you really want to step into your highest self, there are a few non-negotiables you're going to have to learn, and I am just the person to help you do it. No matter your past, I'm here to help you create a more fulfilling future. So stick around with me. Not only will I teach you how to navigate your brain's daily mind drama, but I'll help you actually understand your mind, your emotions, why you do the things you do, and why others do the things they do. Most importantly, I'll help you build the self-awareness skills to create whatever results you want. It's never too late to change the trajectory of your life. After all, this is not your practice life. Hi, friends. Welcome to This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. My name is Macy, and I'm so excited to have you listening today. If you're brand new here, welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy. And if you are a returning listener, as always, thank you for coming back. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for bringing friends. Just thank you for being here and supporting me all these years later. So before we get into today's topic, which I think is going to be quite the episode for you guys, very valuable, but maybe explain some things in a way that gives you a visual of something to think about. Before we do that, I just want to remind you that I am enrolling now for my newest program experience called the Immersion Collection. And what this is essentially 10 years of my lived experience, coaching experiences, coaching thousands of women, all wrapped up into a 1-year coaching program that allows you to go through all of my signature emotional intelligence pieces of work. So we will start with private one-on-one coaching. We'll go into the mini programs. We'll go into then my advanced rooms, and you get to experience everything that has built my clients up in one intentional and organized year. But it's not going to be something that takes a ton of your time away from you. It's not probably as intensive as maybe you might hear it landing, like a whole year of coaching. What am I going to do with that? There's a lot of spacious breaks. It's designed to build your skills step by step by step. And if there's ever been a time where you have wondered about coaching and you've wanted to get coaching, especially if you have ever gone to my website and you've looked around at the different options and you haven't been sure, like, what do I start with? What is best for me? How do I know which advanced room I need and when? How do I know what programs I need? This gives you the opportunity to do all of it. And there are bonuses that are happening through March 31st only. And they're very special. They don't add on any extra fees, but you get to take advantage of them. So make sure you're going to macyrenee.com, click the foundational coaching tab, and you'll see the immersion collection. Check it out. And if you have questions, book a consult ASAP so we can talk it over. All right. Now let's talk about getting into the healing process of coming out of a toxic relationship. So this could be any sort of toxic relationship, whether there is, abuse, like physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, narcissistic abuse, personality disorders, something that just makes you feel like you have lost yourself along the way. I work with a lot of women who are coming out of these relationships whenever they hire me, or they are still in a relationship like this whenever they hire me, and they have lost themselves. They don't really know how to ever feel like themselves again. So if you are watching this podcast and listening to this podcast on YouTube, just know that I do have visuals today to kind of help this land if you are someone who has experienced this in your healing, or you're in this rut right now and you're wondering how you'll ever heal. Or if you have a friend or family member or someone that you know that maybe needs to hear this, feel free to share it with them. So a lot of times whenever women come to me and they have been in a difficult relationship where they have been lied to, gaslit, manipulated, treated poorly, anything less than ideal in a relationship, it really messes with your mind. Now, I will tell you, I am no stranger to narcissism, not in my relationship, but in my family. And it's really, really hard to trust yourself after you have been put through the ringer in that way. Something I also should say is that I think a lot of times these days we throw around the word narcissist or narcissism, maybe more so than we need to. It's a very, I think, overused word because it does take a diagnosis for someone to actually be, labeled as a narcissist. But I do think that there are narcissistic tendencies and things that do happen in relationships. But as someone who grew up experiencing narcissism and watching it happen in a very abusive, emotionally abusive way, and being kind of like a secondary byproduct of moments like that, it's a very challenging thing to recover from. Some of the things that you really struggle with are trusting yourself, especially whenever they gaslight and they tell you things that happened, didn't happen. There's this ability for them to manipulate and change a story. Like it comes natural to them to be able to like swoop you back in. And when that happens, you get super confused. You don't always like, logically what happened, but the emotional connection that you have, even if it doesn't always feel like a good one and a safe one, there's enough manipulation to like create chaos and then pull in for safety, and then create chaos and then pull in for safety. And those highs and lows and those ups and downs are part of what manipulates and challenges the brain to really be fully trusting again or to be fully confident in leaving. So there's a lot that happens inside of the mind of a woman or a male that has gone through some toxic relationship things, especially if there are diagnoses like narcissistic abuse or narcissistic tendencies. So, what I want to talk about today is like what this healing process looks like, because, first of all, there's not just one way. So, I will just say that. And second, I will just remind you I am a coach, not a licensed clinical psychologist or therapist. So, you take whatever resonates from this podcast, and then you take other things with a grain of salt. My background is actually in occupational therapy. So, but while I do have degrees that do help me be, I think, even better as a coach, it's not in any kind of clinical psychology realm. So I'm speaking solely from my own lived experiences and the experiences that I have helped walk clients through, whether they are in the middle of it or they found me right after it and they're wanting to reconnect with themselves again. And it's a journey. So what I will say also is that it's not something where you can really rush it as much as you want to. You have to be willing to learn a lot of what happened and how your brain, took it and took in that information and perceived things and how it operated with those situations. And then sometimes there's even accountability that you can take for choices that you made throughout. And it's a journey to heal it. So here's what happens a lot of times when women come to me and they have had an experience like this. A lot of times they will tell me, like, even if they are out of the relationship, if they are co-parenting, they're obviously still triggered if they have children with this person, or if they have to keep up any kind of communication in general for whatever reason, like if it can't be a clean break, then there is a lot to wrestle with there. But even if it can be a clean break, maybe whenever they start dating again, if someone is really good to them, they will struggle with that relationship of someone being good to them because they have way more history. What would the word be? Like their brain at that point is trained to find every reason to flee. Vigilance. They're like hyper vigilant. So I will say that that's how I grew up, never knowing what was going to happen or what was going to set the person off or what was going to be manipulated after it happened. That developed in me not only a lot of anxiety, but hypervigilance. So I am very, very keen on being able to read a room. I think that was naturally ingrained in me already. I'm a very intuitive person, but I think that my intuition is probably supersonic in many ways because of the things I experienced in childhood that made me hypervigilant. So if you are a woman or a man that is coming out of a toxic relationship, you are likely very hypervigilant. You notice a lot of things about people's behaviors, their body language, their moods, the mood changes, the things that they say, and you're scanning and reading every single bit of it because your nervous system wants safety so bad. And sometimes that hypervigilance can sabotage a very, very good, healthy relationship because it almost comes across like we can nitpick every little thing in a relationship with someone. So when I first started dating my now husband, I was triggered a lot, but I would be triggered by things that just didn't make sense. I would be triggered by certain ways that he would laugh that reminded me of the person. I would be triggered by certain sentences he would say, not because he said them in the same context or the same tone as the person, right? That affected me, but it was similarities. And then as soon as I would see it and as soon as my body would respond to it, my natural reaction would be to flee. Like, let's run, let's get out of here. I don't think this is a good idea. I'm not feeling it. Something I've had to really create in my nervous system over the years is a safety around communication, safety around having the arguments and the disagreements and not having what one of my clients calls terminal, like a terminal reaction. It's such a brilliant word to say. It's like as soon as something hard happens, even in a good relationship, when you have come from that previous toxicity, whether it's from family or from a romantic relationship, you do feel in some ways very terminal. Something someone says, something someone does, something that happens in an argument and a disagreement that you can't come to terms with. It will feel oftentimes for the person that's experienced the toxicity like this is terminal and I should leave because that would be the safest thing for my nervous system. So there's a lot of intricacies. So I will just say if there's ever a time if this episode resonates with you and you're like, yes, I want to work on it. She's speaking my language. She's saying everything that I feel. Just know it's not a quick process. Like give yourself grace and give yourself time. It takes so much to come out of these natural instincts and these patterns that we have held onto and created for ourselves in order to be safe moving forward. So we mean well, and our body is trying to protect us and our brain is trying to protect us. It just doesn't always do it knowing like the full picture of the new person or what's happening, or if we're not equipped with the EQ skills, we'll sabotage. Okay, so there's a lot of intricacies that go with this, but here's the visual that I want to give because I have recently had several women that are leaving relationships that were not serving them. And that means like there were levels of abuse that they were experiencing, whether it was mental and emotional, physical, maybe not where they are, being physically touched, but where there's physicality. So like damaging property, in high intense anger and them having to see that and witness that and feeling their body do all of the, scary fight or flight kind of things. And so I've had a lot of women that I have more recently helped navigate life after they've been able to walk away bravely, or, if they're still in the midst of it, that process of walking away and what that looks like. And the biggest thing that the women will often say to me is, I just feel like even when I can see pieces of my life that are really good, like healthy children, or I'm not with this person anymore, or the divorce went through, or we don't have to communicate a lot, or we use an app through the court where we communicate, or like even if there are things set up in favor of them, and maybe even they've moved on, or they're dating, or they want to explore dating, a lot of the time, what I hear is like, I can't seem to shake all of the old bad stuff. My brain is just super hyper vigilant to the bad stuff. And if I do have to co parent with this person, or I do have to see this person every single time an interaction like that happens, I just feel bogged down. I feel like my energy is sucked out of me. And it's really hard for me to feel like my life has balance in both the good and the hard, or the good and what feels bad. What they mean a lot of times that I've come to decipher is that they feel almost like they're living a double life. So if they if they're dating, for instance, and they're off with this new person that makes them feel very safe and loved and is a very different experience from what they were used to, that feels like a whole separate compartment. And it almost feels like it has to be in a box in order for them to fully enjoy it. And even in that box, there are so many triggers. Is this real? Is this person telling me the truth? Is this person going to hurt me? Am I going to experience every single thing that I experienced from the past? Like, can I trust this? Can I trust this person? Can I trust myself? Do I deserve this? I was treated poorly for so long. Maybe I deserved it. So maybe do I even deserve someone treating me good? Like, this is the narrative that's happening in their mind. And then in that, we'll call it mostly happy box where they're juggling their own brain, but they feel safe with the person. They have to come back maybe to co-parent. They have to come back and have conversations with the ex in order to get things done, or because there's split custody or whatever the reason may be. And as soon as they have to come back into that box, things start to feel very fragile again. Things start to feel misaligned and heavy and yucky. Oftentimes, just because you're out of the marriage or you're out of that like romantic kind of relationship, if you have children and you can't have a clean break, the abuse or the toxicity or the narcissism or whatever it may be doesn't stop just because you're out. In fact, a lot of times you are re-invited into that chaos every single time you have to have an interaction, which is why court-wise they want you to have as minimal interactions as possible. And oftentimes there are apps that the lawyers can read and the court system can read to make sure like the interactions are as appropriate as possible when someone's come out of a toxic relationship, and that it's solely for like exchanges of children and honoring what's been put in place by the court system. When a woman comes from, we'll call it the happy box, into I have to take care of responsibilities with my ex, like they're not going to go away because we have children together, a lot of times that ex will still bring or try to bring them into chaos. And that's another place where your emotional intelligence skills matter. And something I also have to help a lot of women with is that trigger of being invited back into the chaos and their body having those old responses and wanting to respond the way that they did when they were still married is not helpful, especially for one, your own mental and emotional health, but two, the health of your relationship moving forward and maybe this new partner that's going to be a part of your life. So there's a lot. Like I said, it's not super simple. There's a lot of intricacies here, but the visual that I've given a lot of my clients when they exclaim to me that it just feels so heavy. It just feels like no matter how much good starts to trickle into my life, I can't shake the moments where I'm pulled back into the bad and I feel immense emotions. Some of those emotions are guilt because they've broken up, I'm quoting, but broken up the family, right? Even though that was the best thing maybe for mom and children, or maybe the opposite, right? Dad and the kids, because women can be toxic too. And I've seen that. So like, even if it was the best decision for the split up to happen, it doesn't remove the humanness, especially in women who tend to be more empathetic anyways. It doesn't remove all of the emotions, even when those emotions don't make sense. Again, I'm quoting, to the outside world. So I have had women that have been in horrific toxic relationships and they have moved on to be in a happy, healthy, loving relationship. But in those, again, quote, invitations where the ex is crying, sobbing, feeling sorry for themselves, begging for forgiveness, saying they didn't mean it, like almost a false accountability sometimes of like, I ruined our family, to try and again manipulate the situation or to pull the woman back in. A lot of times my clients, yes, if they're an empathetic person, they will end up wrestling in their mind. It's like an inner war where it's like, know that I was treated poorly and I know that the relationship was not healthy and it was not okay. And I know inherently that leaving was the best decision for myself and my children. But there's always a but I feel bad, but I hate to see them struggle, but I don't like how this feels. But there's always a but, because again, a lot of times that ex-partner is great at manipulation tactics for a long time. Think of how many times maybe you wanted to leave or you knew you should, and how many times you got really close or you did, and how many times you went right back. Every single time you went back into that, what it did for the person, right? The ex, the toxic individual, is show their mind it really doesn't matter how bad it gets. They're not strong enough to leave. And if I play my cards right, they will come back, and I will love bomb as long as I need to get them to feel safe again. And then I will rip the rug from right underneath them. And again, it doesn't even have to mean romantic relationship. I've experienced this in family relationships where it seems like everything is going good and you let down your guard and you trust because you love them and because you don't want to believe that they're capable of that. You don't want to believe that they can do that. And then whenever they do, it's like you start to question, what is wrong with me? Like, obviously, there's something wrong with me to be able to see so many signs and no, I shouldn't give any more chances, but yet I did because I love them and then they hurt me again. It's just a constant toxic cycle. So women that leave, and I can't speak for men because I have not worked with a lot of men, but I'm sure there's men that leave too. It's a very sticky place to be because you want to move on and you want to go on with your life and you want to be in the happy box where you're still trying to heal things and you're still going through triggers in a whole different way, but you keep you feeling so in some ways pulled back to the old. And so I started giving my clients this visual of why it feels so heavy and why it feels so hard. And the way that I explain this to some of my clients is that old toxic relationship, we'll just call it toxic relationship, when you decide you're finally going to walk away. And if you're listening to this just on audio, know that I am teaching this with a visual on YouTube. So that's what's happening right now, is I'm pointing to my board and showing a visual. And I have a visual of a fantastic little stick figure that is walking a path. And this represents the version of you that has walked away from this toxic relationship. But walking away doesn't make it a clear cut. It doesn't make it something that automatically feels easy. A lot of times that ex or that toxic person is like a rain cloud. So above my little stick figure, I have rain cloud and I have rain pouring down on the individual that's walking away. And so when they ask me, like, why does it still feel so heavy? And I'm like, well, especially if you're co parenting or if this is a mother or father figure, it's not necessarily the cleanest break. With children, you are going to have to co parent with them and, forever, really. Like, you're going to be co parenting with them. You're in it for the long haul. So that in itself can feel a little daunting when you are more than ready to walk away and leave. But until your children are adults, there's really not a clean break. And then even when they are adults, there's likely going to be instances where you're in the same room. You are going to be at weddings, you're going to be maybe at baby showers, you're going to be at special events, you're going to be at hard events. And so with this being said, when you walk away, or, again, if it's a parent of yours, it's not necessarily a clean break. So every single time they come and they communicate, or they're feeling sorry for themselves, or they're angry and they're lashing out and they want to blame, it's like a heavy rain cloud that is pouring, thunderstorm, lightning, rain, all of it. And to be in a thunderstorm, we know, like, without an umbrella, without a raincoat, I mean, just imagine this. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't always feel blissful to dance in the rain. And the ex toxic person or this toxic family member in your life will feel like it's extremely heavy and it's extremely daunting. And what I tell my clients, I'm like, I know that in the middle of that storm, what you probably want to do is lay down. Just lay down in the fetal position and cry and give up and quit. And you have to understand that you will never reach the sunshine. So on this path, there is the sunshine. I'm like, you will never reach the sun if you curl up in a ball and you lay down. You can lay down to rest for very short periods of time, but this is also where having community of people you know, love, and trust are very helpful. And for my clients, a lot of times like they've been in group programs, and this is where I tell them like, yes, lean on your coach. I'm here to help you. I will extend an umbrella, right? I will grab your hand and hand you an umbrella, and I will walk the path with you while you're standing under the umbrella. But there's still going to be lightning, and there's still going to be scary thunder, and the rain cloud is not going to go away. But I can't help you unless you get up and walk. I need you to get up and walk. And for all of your other colleagues that you're meeting in my group coaching programs where they also have learned or are learning emotional intelligence skills, let us help walk with you. Let us carry maybe the backpack that feels so heavy on your back. Like, we can't do the walk for you, but we can certainly remind you of your tools, remind you of who you are, and be on the walk with you very lovingly. But you can't just lay down and rest. So I have a little stick figure also laying down and resting and thinking like maybe it'll just end if I lay down. Like if I just quit, maybe they will quit. You know what I mean? This is a very real thought, but when you lay down, it doesn't necessarily mean it stops forever. Maybe the rain stops, maybe the thunder and the lightning stop, but then there's heavy winds and there's a tornado. So on this visual, you would see a stick figure laying down, and then you would see the tornado. It's like there's always going to be something when you're dealing with a toxic individual who is not healing themselves. Why they're toxic, I don't know. It could be a mental health diagnosis. It could be, maybe they have abuse habits with drugs or alcohol. Maybe it's that they never healed any of their trauma. Maybe it's that they don't understand or know emotional intelligence skills. Like, we can be talking on the mild end all the way to the most severe, but the reality of it is that when you are trying to make a clean break and you really can't, there's going to be in an invitation into their chaos that they're always willing to provide. So once you even get out of the rainstorm and the lightning and the thunder, you might try to lay down and rest and then be greeted with a tornado or greeted with a big heavy wind. And again, as the coach, I'm like, I feel you. I hear you. I have also been there. I have also walked this path, and everybody's journey and the timing is different because of everybody's unique situations. But I cannot help you unless you stand up and walk. So I will be in the heavy winds with you, and I will experience the tornado with you, and I will be in all the emotions with you. But I cannot do this for you. I need you to stand up, and I need you to show up, and I need you to walk. And myself and any colleagues you're meeting in any group coaching programs, a lot of times they're willing to do the walk with you, right? They're willing to remind you of your tools, to remind you to ask for coaching on things you're struggling with, to remind you of who you said you wanted to be on the really hard days where you just rather throw your hands up and quit. And then again, as we continue this journey and you're like, oh, the wind stopped, the rain has stopped. Well, now we're being greeted with a blizzard. Okay. And again, when you are dealing with someone that is toxic, the journey feels like being in the blizzard now, and you don't have a coat, you don't have anything to keep you warm. And when you are in those conditions, you want to give up. So, what I will see in my clients, like how this shows up in real life, is very much like, I don't even know if I should date anymore or be with this person who does make me happy. I feel like I'm going to ruin it all. I'm going to sabotage it all. I probably deserved everything that's, happened to me. I probably deserve the things that are still happening to me, the insults, the things that they say, the calling me a bad mother, the judging everything that I do, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the destroying my stuff. All of that somehow feels like maybe I deserve that or I created that. And even though logically they know that they didn't, okay? And I know a lot of times in knowing their whole story, no, you didn't. This is someone that's toxic, and this is what the abuse does over time. It's like it creates so much confusion. I have in my own phone tons of videos and audios from experiences that I had growing up, especially in teen years and young adult years, whenever technology got a little more advanced. And in those moments, I would record what was happening because it felt unbelievable, like truly unbelievable. The words said, the things done, the conversations, it felt like being in this really weird vortex of I don't even know what. And it was very, very challenging. And then as I started going through therapy to heal all of the things that those moments created, a lot of the therapists would tell me the best thing you can do is delete it all and don't revisit it. Don't listen to it again. Don't rehash it because your body is going to respond as if it has just happened and it's fresh. But my point, I never did delete them. I don't go back and watch them. I have like more recently, and maybe the last year when I was cleaning out my phone, I stumbled upon them. I didn't have the same emotional reactions because I've healed so much, but I'm glad that I never deleted them. And I want to tell you why. Because even to this day, whenever there are interactions with those family members, they have this very interesting way of denying, and it's like out of sight, out of mind for them. It never happened. It's not real. It's not, they did not create any trauma in their mind. And if it weren't for those audios and videos, I probably would believe them. Sadly and truly, I probably would believe that it wasn't ever as bad. I would think that my brain made it up, but I can go back and physically watch and listen and be like, it actually was probably worse than I even thought it was back then. Like listening as a healed individual, it's like, actually, it was worse. But it's interesting because if you were to have a conversation with them, they would deny all of it. They would say, like, and they've said it, we've never done that. We've never traumatized you. And it's so convincing. And when you want to be in a good place with someone, you want to believe their truth. It's their truth, but you want to believe it. So it is walking this journey of trying to heal. And every single time you get this invitation to like revisit, even if you want to be in a good place, you want to be able to co-parent healthily, you want to be able to coexist with family members that have not treated you well. It's like as soon as you start to feel the funk again and the heaviness again, remember that on the path, even if you made a clean break from the person, so I'm going to draw something right here. Like, let's just say this little stick person is the toxic person. You have technically made a clean break, right? Like when you've walked away, you've made a physical break from them, but the effects last quite some time. Okay. The rain, cloud, thunder, lightning invitations come back. The tornado invitations come back. The blizzard without a jacket or the right tools come back. And that's sometimes why we need the resources and the tools and the people to help us, whether that is a therapist, a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, that is medicine to regulate yourself, whenever you're in the trenches of this, a coach, whenever you're ready to really like heal and move forward and work on your own emotional reactions and your own emotional resilience, your own relationship with yourself, especially post relationship with this person who has just been like a little devil. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it is possible. And I've watched women create such sunshine in their life and actually be able to live in the sunshine way more than they're living in this. It's just that when you're in this, and I'm pointing to all of my drawings, this is hard. This is really, really hard. When you're in this, it feels like I just want to lay down in the fetal position and give up and throw up my hands because I don't know me anymore. I don't know how I created this life. And it gets, what happens is a lot of times without realizing it, we get very victim-y because we start feeling sorry for ourselves and the emotions are so heavy if we don't have the skills and the tools to cope. And so we want to lay down and we want to lay down forever and just be like, I give up. I give up. And when you have hired a coach, I will just tell you that if we're walking this journey together and you get to this point where you're laying down, I'm going to let you lay down for a few minutes. I'm not going to let you lay down forever. You have to get up because I don't want to stay in the tornado of your toxic person or the rain of the toxic person or the blizzard. I've done that. It's not a healthy place to be. And I'm going to walk the journey with you, but I don't want to stay in it. I want to go back to the sunshine. And I know that you want to be in the sunshine. And so I'm not going to fault you for the fatigue and wanting to lay down. I'm going to let you do that for minutes at a time. And then I am going to pull you back up by the hand hand you your umbrella or take the backpack off or put the coat on you and walk you through the journey to get to the sunshine, because that's what you deserve. And especially after going through something like this, you deserve to know who you are. You deserve to heal. You deserve to be the person that attracts exactly what you want in your life. And you deserve to have the tools and the skills to create the life that you want for yourself and that you deserve and that your children deserve and that anybody around you that remembers maybe who you were before all of the toxicity. Everybody deserves that version of you, but more importantly than anybody else, you deserve that version of you. So we're going to walk to the sunshine, and I'm going to rally the women that also know these skills and these tools and have maybe had similar experiences that you can relate to. We're all going to walk with you. Okay, we're going to take you into the best future that you want to create and all the possibility that awaits when you're walking away from this person, especially when it can't fully be a clean break. Okay. So I hope that this episode helps you. And again, if you ever need anything, if this resonates with you, if you know somebody that needs to hear this, share it with them, send it to them on YouTube. You never know how them just being seen, how this can really help them. And just remember, I always do free 60-minute consults. They are to see if coaching is a great fit for you. And I'm always going to be honest. If I don't think that you're ready for coaching, I'm going to tell you. If I do think you're ready for coaching, I will tell you. But at the end of the day, it's still your decision to decide if you are ready. Coaching is one of those investments where it should feel exhilarating and exciting with also a little bit of I'm scared. I'm totally scared. And I feel like whenever women are in that place where they're ready, but they're also a little fearful, it's a really healthy place because it's saying, I'm willing to walk away from old habits, routines, and patterns and what I've known forever. And I'm willing to walk into what's possible for me. And I trust that you're going to help me do it. And I will always work my hardest to help you do it. So if you're interested, schedule a free 60-minute consult. And don't forget that right now is one of the best times to make an investment in coaching, because you can experience all of my coaching content, my signature EQ programs inside of the immersion collection. And I'm taking you on the journey of all of it over the course of 1 year. So it's not something that you have to draw out for years and years and years. If you ever want to repeat a program, you can, but this is going to give you such valuable skill stacking of starting with one-on-one coaching so I can get to really know you and your situation, moving on to what I call my mini programs that are going to equip you with certain skills, and then onto advanced work. And not only that, but you also in this investment get access to the Equip Society, which is lifetime access coaching. So you will always have a home. You will always have a place to get the support you need. And again, if you sign up before March 31st, there are bonuses you can take advantage of. So that's what I wanted to share here. Be sure to schedule a consult if you're just not sure if it's for you. I'm happy to talk to you. And again, share this episode with anybody you think needs it. I'll see you guys next time. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. If you'd like to connect on social media, you can find me on both Instagram and Facebook at Macy Renee Coaching. And if you want to stay up to date on all of my offers, announcements, and inspirational emails, you can join my email list at macyrenee.com. In addition, if there's a way that I can further support you in your coaching journey, you can schedule a free 60-minute consult at macyrenee.com anytime you want so we can discuss the best options for you. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.